It was late. Way too late to still be driving. The kind of late where the road feels endless. The headlights carve out just a tiny sliver of the world, and everything outside that cone of light is just black, heavy nothingness. It was me, my best friend Ryan, and his girlfriend Marissa. We were driving back from a concert, hours from home, cutting through stretches of highway that felt abandoned. Not a single pair of headlights behind us. No towns, no gas stations, just trees, shadows, and silence. Except for the occasional pop of gravel under the tires, the world was dead quiet. The radio had gone fuzzy 20 miles back, and none of us dared play music from our phones. It felt like we'd break some unspoken rule if we filled that silence. That's when I saw him. At first, I thought it was a deer, something in the middle of the road, small and pale in the headlights. But as we got closer, my heart clenched. It wasn't a deer. It was a man. He was just standing there, barefoot, clothes hanging off him like they'd been soaked and left to dry. His arms were at his sides, but his head was tilted too far back, like his neck was broken, and he was smiling. A wide, frozen grin. Ryan slammed on the brakes, the car lurching. Tires squealed, my chest slammed into the seatbelt. Marissa gasped so sharply it almost sounded like a scream. And the man didn't move. Didn't even flinch. He just stood there grinning at us, his eyes reflecting white in the beams of our headlights. At first I thought maybe he was hurt. Maybe an accident had left him wandering out here, but the longer we sat there, frozen in the car, the more wrong he looked. His skin looked gray in the headlights. His smile didn't waver, not once, and his head, God, his head kept twitching like he was straining against some invisible string. Ryan whispered, "What the hell is he doing?" I didn't answer. None of us did. Then the man started walking. Not around the car, not to the side. He walked straight toward us. Each step slow, deliberate, like he had all the time in the world. And the closer he got, the clearer I could see. His feet were bleeding, raw. Every step left a dark smear across the asphalt. Ryan cursed under his breath and threw the car into reverse, backing up fast. The man stopped. Just stopped in the middle of the lane, cocked his head at us, and kept smiling. And then he lifted his hand. At first I thought he was waving, but no, he raised his hand to his lips and made a shh gesture. We drove, I don't even know how far. None of us said a word. The silence in the car pressing down heavier than before. I kept checking the mirrors, expecting to see him still standing there in the road, somehow closer. But he was gone. Or so I thought. Because maybe 20 minutes later, Ryan slowed the car again. Not because of him, but because the GPS was telling us to turn left. A smaller road, darker than the highway. My gut screamed not to, but it was the only way home. And there he was, standing on the shoulder of the smaller road. Same crooked neck, same frozen smile, just waiting. Marissa started crying, her voice cracking, begging Ryan not to stop. He didn't. He swerved past the man, the car jolting as we tore down the road. But I swear on my life, I saw his head turn as we passed. His eyes locked on mine through the glass. The deeper we went,
the worse it got. The roads narrowed, the woods thickened, and every mile or so, there he was again. Sometimes standing on the road, sometimes crouched in the ditch. Once, I swear he was hanging from a tree branch, his body swaying as our headlights cut across him. Always smiling, always watching. We stopped trusting the GPS, stopped trusting anything. We just wanted out. But no matter how far we drove, the roads twisted and looped, dragging us deeper into nowhere. And then, our headlights caught something else. Not the man. A car. It was crumpled against a tree, metal twisted, glass shattered. Its hood was split open like a cracked skull. And inside? Inside was him. The same man, same face, same broken neck, dead behind the wheel, his grin still plastered on his face. But before I could even process what I was seeing, Ryan hit the brakes so hard the car nearly spun, because the man wasn't just in the wreck. He was standing in the road again, right in front of us, alive, smiling, waiting. That's when everything broke. The car stalled. The dashboard went black, headlights flickered out, and in the suffocating dark, I heard footsteps on the asphalt. Slow, wet, getting closer. Marissa was sobbing. Ryan was cursing, slamming the key in the ignition over and over. I just sat there frozen, listening to those steps. Then, knock. A hand, pale and wet, slapped against the driver's side window, fingertips dragging down the glass with a squeal. Ryan screamed at him, shouted to get away. But when I finally turned to look, the man wasn't looking at Ryan. He was staring straight at me. His grin wider now, stretching impossibly far, and his voice, raspy, broken, finally spoke. The next thing I remember, the engine roared back to life. Ryan floored it, tires spitting gravel, the figure vanishing into the night behind us. We didn't stop driving until we hit the next town, nearly an hour later. Parked in a gas station lot under harsh fluorescent lights, none of us spoke. None of us could. Eventually, Marissa whispered, "Did you guys see the wreck? That was him, wasn't it?" Ryan didn't answer. Neither did I. Because I knew what she meant, and she was right. We saw him dead, and we saw him alive, over and over. But here's the part I can't shake, the part that makes me sick every time I think about it. When we stopped at the gas station, I finally got out of the car to breathe, to calm down. And as I leaned against the trunk, trying not to throw up, I noticed something on the bumper. A smear, dark, sticky, and red, like someone's bleeding hand had pressed against the back of the car. And sometimes, when I'm driving late at night, I swear I see him again. Just standing there, in the middle of the road, smiling. And every time, he raises a finger to his lips. Shh.
It was close to midnight when it happened. The road stretched ahead of us like an endless ribbon, swallowed on both sides by thick trees and the kind of darkness that makes you feel trapped inside your own headlights. It was me and my buddy Tyler driving home from a weekend trip. We were both exhausted, running on gas station coffee and adrenaline, just trying to make it back before dawn. The radio was nothing but static out there, so the only sounds were the hum of the engine and the occasional rattle of loose change in the cup holder. That's when we saw her. A figure on the side of the road, standing just past a bend. At first, I thought it was a trick of the shadows, maybe a mailbox or a fallen tree. But as we got closer, the figure sharpened into a person, a woman. She had long hair that hung limp, and she was holding out her arm with her thumb pointed up. A hitchhiker. Now, normally I wouldn't have stopped. You hear too many stories, and something about picking up strangers on an empty highway at midnight feels like tempting fate. But the way she stood there, I don't know, something in me couldn't just drive past. Tyler muttered, "Dude, no way, don't do it." But before he could stop me, my foot was already easing off the gas. When we pulled up, she stepped into the glow of our headlights. Her clothes were old-fashioned, almost like something from decades ago. A pale dress that looked worn thin. Her skin was so pale it practically glowed, and when she looked at me, her eyes didn't quite catch the light the way they should. Still, I unlocked the door. She slid into the back seat without a word. The air immediately changed, colder, heavier, like someone had opened a freezer inside the car. I remember my breath fogging slightly, and I thought maybe I was just imagining it. "Where you headed?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. She spoke softly, almost a whisper. "Just down the road." Her voice was strange, flat, emotionless, like she was repeating words she'd already said 100 times. We drove. At first, the silence was unbearable. I kept glancing at her in the rear-view mirror. Her head was down, her hair hanging forward so I couldn't see her face. I thought maybe she was tired, or maybe she just didn't want to talk. But then, I noticed something. Every time I looked up, her reflection in the mirror seemed delayed, like her movements didn't line up perfectly. I'd see her shift slightly, but in the mirror she'd still be perfectly still. I told myself I was imagining things, that it was just exhaustion playing tricks on me. But then, she spoke again. "You should slow down." Her voice sent a chill straight through me. "Why?" I asked, even though I didn't want the answer. "There's a curve ahead." And sure enough, just a few seconds later, the road twisted hard to the right. If I hadn't eased off the gas, we might have gone off the shoulder. Tyler's face went pale. He whispered, "How the hell did she know that?" I tried to keep my eyes on the road, but the air in the car felt wrong, heavy, almost like the pressure before a thunderstorm. My chest was tight. I glanced back at her again. This time, her head was tilted up, and she was smiling. Not a warm smile, but a strange, too wide grin that made my stomach knot. Her lips moved, but at first I couldn't hear anything. I turned my head slightly, straining to catch it. She was whispering something, over and over. "Almost there, almost there, almost there." I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to stay steady. "Where exactly is there?" No answer, just that grin. Minutes crawled by. The woods grew thicker, the road darker, and the air colder. I swear the temperature in the car dropped 10 degrees, and Tyler kept rubbing his arms like he could feel it too. Finally, the woman lifted her hand and pointed. There. I followed her finger. Ahead, there was nothing but another stretch of road vanishing into the trees. No houses, no towns, not even a dirt driveway. Just blackness. I turned my head back for a second, confused, and she was gone. The seat was empty. No sound, no movement, nothing. But here's the part that still makes my skin crawl. Her reflection was still in the mirror. I slammed on the brakes. The car skidded, tires screeching, until we came to a shuddering stop. Tyler was yelling, demanding to know what the hell was happening. But I couldn't answer, because I was staring at the rear-view mirror. She was still there, staring back at me. That same crooked smile, those pale, lifeless eyes. And then she leaned forward. Her reflection moved closer to mine, but the seat behind us was still empty. I couldn't breathe. Her lips pressed close to where my ear would be if she were really there. And in the mirror, I saw her mouth the words, "You should have kept driving." The mirror went black, just empty glass, and the back seat was empty again. We tore out of there. Didn't matter where, just away. The car roared down the highway, the tires barely holding the road. Neither of us spoke. We didn't stop until we hit the next gas station, lights buzzing overhead, the safety of other people around. For a long time, we just sat there in silence. Tyler finally muttered, We picked her up, right? You saw her too." I nodded, though even as I said it, I wasn't sure anymore. My skin still felt cold. The air in the car still felt heavy. And when I finally got out to pump gas, I noticed something that made my stomach turn. On the back seat, pressed deep into the fabric, was the faint outline of wet, muddy footprints. Too small for mine, too fresh to be old. That was 3 years ago. Sometimes, when I drive that stretch of highway at night, I swear I see her again, standing by the side of the road, thumb out, waiting. And every time, I keep driving. But I know one day, I won't have a choice. Because sometimes, I catch a glimpse of the rear-view mirror, and she's already there.
We weren't supposed to be out there that late. It was past 1 in the morning, and the stretch of highway we were on cut through miles of farmland and woods with almost no towns in between. Just blacktop, fences, and the occasional flicker of a broken streetlight. It was me, my girlfriend Emily, and my brother Jason. We'd gone to see a late movie in the next town over, and instead of staying the night, we decided to drive back. I figured the highway would be empty, easy sailing. But the thing about those roads is, at night, they don't feel empty. They feel wrong. Like you're trespassing on something that doesn't belong to you. And that's when we noticed the car. It started as nothing, just a pair of headlights in the mirror, cresting over the hill behind us. I didn't think much of it. Cars pass, even late at night. But this one didn't pass. It stayed. Mile after mile, those headlights burned into my rearview mirror, always the same distance. Not close enough to tailgate,
not far enough to ignore. Just hanging there, matching every move I made. Jason leaned forward in the passenger seat, squinting. "That car's been behind us for a while, huh?" "Yeah," I muttered, trying to sound casual. But in the pit of my stomach, I didn't believe it. 10 minutes turned into 20. Every curve I took, they took. Every hill we climbed, their headlights rose right after. Finally, I slowed down, easing off the gas. If they wanted to pass, this was their chance. But they slowed too. Perfectly. Emily shifted uncomfortably in the back seat. "Why aren't they going around?" No one had an answer. The night pressed in heavier the longer it went on. The silence in the car was suffocating, only broken by the low hum of the tires on asphalt. The heater was on, but I felt cold, like a draft was seeping in through invisible cracks. I tried to shake it off, turned on the radio. Nothing but static. Every station. Just a wall of white noise, hissing and crackling like whispering voices that weren't quite clear enough to understand. Jason turned it off immediately. That silence rushing back, heavier than before. At the 30-minute mark, I started to panic. "This is crazy," Jason said, his voice low but tight. "They're messing with us." I pressed harder on the gas. The speedometer climbed past 70, then 80. The engine whined. The road blurred. But when I looked in the mirror, they were still there. Perfect distance. Never gaining, never falling back, just there. By the 40-minute mark, the paranoia had set in deep. I tried tricks, sudden turns, cutting down side roads I barely remembered. The kind of narrow gravel lanes that twisted between cornfields and sagging barns. But no matter where we went, those headlights followed. Always the same. Emily whispered from the back seat, "What if it's not a car?" The way she said it, it didn't sound like a joke. It sounded like something she believed. And the more I stared into those blinding lights, the less sure I was myself. Around 50 minutes in, I had enough. "There's a gas station up ahead. We're stopping." Jason nodded quickly. Emily stayed in the car, hugging herself. I stepped out into the cold air and froze. There, in the reflection of the gas station's grimy glass window, I saw it. 2 headlights. Right behind our car. But when I turned around, nothing. I wanted to leave right then, but I forced myself to pump the gas, hands trembling so hard I could barely keep hold of the nozzle. Every creak of metal, every hum of the light made me jump. When we finally got back in the car, Jason slammed his door shut and muttered, "Let's just go." We pulled out fast, back onto the highway. For a moment, just a moment, I thought we were safe. Then Emily's voice cracked from the back seat. Guys?" I looked up into the rear-view mirror, and my blood turned to ice. The car was back. Closer this time. The last 20 minutes of that drive were a blur. No matter how fast I went, no matter which roads I took, those headlights clung to us, sometimes vanishing around a bend only to reappear seconds later blighter than before. Emily was crying, Jason was cursing under his breath, and me? I was gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles ached, whispering over and over, "Almost home, almost home." Finally, we pulled into our driveway. The house never looked so good. I cut the engine, heart hammering, and turned to look. The road behind us was empty. No headlights, nothing. That should have been the end of it. But later that night, Lying awake in bed, I saw a glow through the window. White light, blinding, like headlights. But when I pulled back the curtain, the street was empty. The driveway was empty. And yet my room was still flooded with that glow. To this day, I don't know what followed us that night. Maybe it was just a car, maybe someone messing with us. But sometimes, when I'm driving late at night and I see headlights in the mirror, I feel that same cold weight in my chest. And I can't help but wonder, what if it wasn't a car at all? What if it finally caught up?
We thought the GPS was saving us time. It was me, my friend Mark, and his girlfriend Sarah, driving back after a long weekend trip. The sun had gone down hours ago, and by the time we hit the back roads, it was after midnight. The highway had been blocked by an accident, so the GPS rerouted us through winding country roads. At first I didn't mind, but the longer we drove, the darker it got. The streetlights disappeared. The towns disappeared. Even the houses disappeared, until it was just us, the car, and the black silhouettes of trees pressing in from both sides. It felt like we were leaving the world behind. And then the GPS told us to turn left. The road narrowed almost instantly. Gravel crunched under the tires, dust rising in the glow of the headlights. Thick branches arched overhead, clawing at the roof. Mark shifted uneasily in the passenger seat. "Are you sure this is right?" I held up the phone. "Says it'll reconnect us to the highway in 10 miles. Sarah leaned forward from the back, voice shaky. "It doesn't feel right." She was right. The road twisted and wound, narrowing more and more until it barely felt like a road at all. And yet, the GPS kept urging us forward. Turn right. Continue straight. Slight left. Each command pulling us deeper into nowhere. After about 20 minutes, the road opened slightly. I could see something ahead. The beams of the headlights swept across a fence, broken and sagging. We rolled forward, and the GPS spoke again. "You have arrived at your destination." The road ended. Dead stop. Right in front of an abandoned house. It sat there like something out of a nightmare. 2 stories tall, windows boarded over, the wood siding gray and rotting. The front door hung crooked on rusted hinges. Vines crawled up the walls, swallowing the porch. And yet, there was a light, a faint, sickly yellow glow in one of the upstairs windows. Sarah whispered, "Nope, no, we're turning around." I threw the car into reverse, tires crunching over gravel, but something made me freeze. There was movement in that window, a shadow. Someone was up there. I don't know why, but I couldn't look away. My chest was tight, my pulse racing, but my eyes stayed locked on that upstairs window. Mark leaned forward, squinting. "Is someone watching us?" The shadow shifted, slow and deliberate. It leaned closer to the glass, though the boards should have blocked it completely. For a split second, I thought I saw a face, pale, hollow-eyed, grinning. And then, the car's engine sputtered and died. The silence was deafening. No hum of the motor, no air through the vents, just the creak of the cooling engine and the sound of our own breathing. Sarah's voice cracked.
Please, start the car. I twisted the key. Nothing. Not even a click. And then, out of the woods, came footsteps. Slow, crunching over leaves and gravel, coming closer. Mark spun around, staring out the back window. There's someone out there. I gripped the wheel, heart hammering. The footsteps grew louder, clearer. Whoever it was, they weren't hurrying. They were taking their time. And then, from the trees, something emerged. At first I thought it was a person, but the shape was wrong. Too thin, its movements jerky like a puppet on strings. Sarah was sobbing now, covering her mouth with her hands. The figure stopped at the edge of the headlights, just outside the glow, watching. And then it smiled. I couldn't see its face clearly, but I knew it was smiling. Suddenly, every window of the house lit up at once. Not warm light, not normal, but blinding white, flooding out through the cracks in the boards like the house was glowing from the inside. The figure vanished, just gone. And upstairs, in the same window as before, something pressed against the glass. A hand, thin, gray, too many fingers, scraping down the inside of the pane, leaving long black streaks. The car roared back to life on its own. The headlights flickered, the dashboard lit up, and the engine screamed like I'd slammed the pedal to the floor. I didn't wait. I threw it into drive and tore backward, gravel spitting, tires shrieking as we spun onto the dirt road. In the mirror, the house was still glowing, that awful, blinding light pulsing like it was alive. And just as we turned the last corner, the GPS spoke again, in a voice I'd never heard it use before. Wrong way. We didn't stop until we hit the highway. Not one of us spoke. The glow of the streetlights felt like salvation, but none of us could shake it. That house, that figure, that voice. Mark finally broke the silence. We're never talking about this again. But I can't stop thinking about it, because the next day I checked the map. I wanted to know where the GPS had led us. I retraced every turn, every road. But there's nothing there. No gravel lane, no dead end, no house. Just empty fields. And yet, every once in a while when I'm driving late at night, the GPS glitches. The screen flickers. And for a split second, the words flash back. You have arrived at your destination. I don't look. I don't pull over. Because I know where it's trying to take me. And I know what's waiting there.
It was late. Later than we should have been driving. The kind of late where the roads feel abandoned, like you're the only person left in the world. The only sound was the steady hum of the tires against the asphalt and the occasional creak of the old car when we hit a bump. My buddy Sam sat in the passenger seat, head leaning against the window, eyes half closed. The dashboard clock glowed a sickly green. 2:47 a.m. We were taking the back roads, country highways, dark stretches of two-lane pavement cutting through miles of nothing but forest. The GPS said this way would shave off 20 minutes, but it felt like we'd driven into another world. The deeper we went, the quieter it got. No other cars, no lights, just endless trees pressing in on both sides, their shadows swallowing the weak glow of our high beams. Then, the temperature inside the car dropped. Not gradually, not like a draft, It was as if someone had opened a freezer door right behind us. I remember glancing at the vents, thinking maybe the AC had switched on, but it hadn't. My breath fogged faintly in the air. Sam stirred, rubbing his arms. "Damn, man. Why is it so cold all of a sudden?" I laughed nervously, trying to brush it off. Maybe the woods are just, colder at night. But I didn't believe it myself. About 15 minutes later, it happened. We were rounding a bend, the trees breaking just enough to reveal a long straightaway. I had my hands tight on the wheel, fighting sleep, when she appeared. A woman, walking across the road. She came out of the darkness so suddenly I almost slammed on the brakes. My heart lurched into my throat. She was dressed in all white, a long gown, thin and fluttering in the breeze that wasn't there. Her hair was dark, hanging down in messy strands covering most of her face. And she moved so slowly, too slowly, like she wasn't walking at all but gliding. Her head turned, just slightly, as if she knew we were watching her. I gripped the wheel and muttered, "Do you see that?" Sam sat bolt upright. "What the hell?" And then, just as she reached the middle of the road, she vanished. No running, no ducking, no slipping into the shadows. 1 second she was there, the next, gone. My hands were slick with sweat on the steering wheel. I slowed the car, squinting into the darkness, scanning both sides of the road. Nothing, no sign of her. Sam was pale. "Don't stop. Just keep going, man. Don't stop here." But something in me, I don't know if it was curiosity or dread, kept my eyes locked on that spot where she disappeared. The asphalt looked the same as before, but I swear it shimmered, like heat rising off pavement on a summer day, except it was freezing cold. And then, faintly, I heard it. A whisper. It wasn't outside. It wasn't in the woods. It was inside the car, right behind me. A woman's voice, low, almost tender, but I couldn't make out the words. I whipped my head around. Nothing, just the back seat, empty and dark. Sam saw my face drain of color. What is it?" "Nothing," I lied, but my chest was tight and I pressed harder on the gas. For the next stretch of road, neither of us spoke. The silence was unbearable, heavier than the night itself. Every time I checked the rearview mirror, I expected to see someone sitting back there. And maybe I did. Once or twice I could have sworn I saw the faintest outline of a pale face in the reflection, eyes black as tar, but when I blinked, it was gone. The climax came about 20 minutes later when we finally saw a sign for a small town up ahead. Civilization. Safety. We turned off the back road and onto a more open stretch, lined with old street lamps. That's when Sam gasped and gripped my arm. "She's in front of us." I looked, and there she was. The same woman, standing directly in the middle of the road, maybe 30 feet ahead, facing us this time. Her hair still hung low, but now I could see the bottom half of her face. Her mouth was wrong. It stretched too wide, too stiff, a smile carved into her skin. I slammed on the brakes, heart hammering. The tires screeched. We came to a dead stop just feet away. And as the headlights hit her, she lifted her arm and pointed at me. Her finger was long, thin, almost skeletal, and she didn't move, didn't blink. Sam shouted, "Go, go!" But I couldn't. My hands wouldn't move. My body felt locked in place like she was holding me there with her stare. The whisper came again, this time clearer. "Let me in.
My ears rang, my vision blurred. I could feel her words vibrating inside my skull. "Let me in!" Sam grabbed the wheel and jerked it. The car swerved, missing her by inches, and sped down the road. When I looked back, she was gone again. We didn't stop until we reached the next gas station, light spilling over us like salvation. I stumbled out of the car, hands shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. Sam didn't say a word. He didn't have to. We both knew what we saw. But here's the part that keeps me awake at night. When I finally calmed down, I got back in the driver's seat. My mirror was tilted down like someone had touched it. I adjusted it, and in the faint reflection of the back seat, for just a second, I swear I saw her. Her pale face, that smile, sitting right behind me. I blinked, and it was gone. To this day, I don't take back roads at night. I don't trust the quiet stretches of highway, and I can't stand looking in my rearview mirror too long, because sometimes I still hear her voice. Let me in.